Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Into the Badlands, Carry Tiger to Mountain. And this was a pretty good episode. It was lighter on the action, but we kind of needed this episode to give us some more information and deal with what's going on. So, the biggest kind of draws in this episode dealt with the widow and kind of her whole deal and the introduction and actual reveal of the identity of Chow's brother as Gaius and the widow's backstory with him, MK's whole thing with Nyx, the woman that captured him, and the Pilgrim, and of course Sunny and Baji, which developed the most meat of what's going on with the plot and what's going to be driving us forward now. So the parts that I really liked were Sunny's and Baji's, just because they're some of my favorite characters, and seeing what was going to be happening with Henry. So they're able to get up to Vulture's Peak, and we find Ankara in a plane that has crashed on a frozen lake. So it was actually pretty kind of cool. So they get in there, and she's wondering if Baji has come to kill her, and he's like, no, we kind of need your help. And they kind of look over the baby, and it's like, geez, yeah, this is gonna be kind of a problem. What I can do is more of an ointment. It's not going to treat this. So they get ready to administer what's going on to help Henry. And at first, I'm like, oh God, there's a tub. I hope she doesn't drown Henry, as that being her way of curing him. But she doesn't. She just kind of puts him under the water, and Sonny's like, what the hell are you doing? And then uses his strength and kind of dissipates the darkness within Henry into the water, and Sunny's seeing this go on and is able to get Henry out. He seems pretty fine. She is alluding that she's the ointment with this, that this is a temporary solution, not the scab, so they're going to have to look for other places. And I wonder who usually has a pretty good control of an ability that could help with the Dark Gift. So we see where this is kind of going. And as we've seen around the plane in her living area, she's been drawing things that have been going on in the Badlands. So we don't know particularly if she's got kind of like a foresight or whatnot. And this also leads her to being like, okay, what is going on with you, Sunny? And she uses this kind of technique, and we get a flashback of Sunny, because this is usually kind of hereditary line, and he's got things that are connected to Azure. And we get this brief flashback of Sunny with his Dark Gift, the whole Dark One's gift in use, and someone using the same kind of technique that Ankara is using on him, and she gets blasted back. She's like, oh, okay. And Baji's like, go get that over there. What is this, like a potion or something? He's like, no, it's alcohol. Who cares? And gets her up and everything, and she's like, wow, whoever sealed away your Dark Gift is supremely strong and more powerful than me. And talks about like how Sunny has a catalyst, which is like an artery through which the Dark Gift flows. So this is the catalyst that the Pilgrim was talking about. So, alright, we'll have to see how he's going to be used, because the way things were going in this episode, he's probably going to be trying to use Sunny in a ritual or whatnot, depending on the place of power, I believe. So that's a pretty cool thing that we've finally got some more information on, that Sunny's gift has been locked away. And they're going, wait a minute, what are you talking about, the catalyst? What's going on here? I did what you had told me to. I tried to contact Azure and got no response. Trying to show that he doesn't really believe what she's saying. She's like, oh, you didn't get a response? Goes over, flips on some communications equipment, and getting a Morse code response from the Pilgrim. And he's going, well, okay. And they spell out the whole Pilgrim's message, and Ankara's like, well, he's going to be making a new world through blood and chaos. And Baji's like, this isn't what I wanted. Why? Because the tragic flaw of Baji's character is, usually throughout his arc, before he's gotten to this point, he's tried to do all these things to help people and do good, And usually it kind of turns out this way. That's why he tries to pretty much put himself off as selfish, so that way people stay away from him. And he's just completely just like pissed off about that, and he just is trying to figure out what to do. So the end of their part is that they're going off the mountain, and Ankara has said that Sonny needs to go to the Pilgrim in order to help his son more. So he's pretty much going off that way. He's like, Baji, you don't owe me anything. Why are you coming? And he's like, well, I set off the signal. I want to be there to see how it ends. And this just shows real growth on Baji's part. Like, yeah, now is owning up to his mistakes and wants to help his friend. He wants to help Sonny. He didn't have to show Sonny where Vulture's Peak was. He didn't have to take him this far and help him help his son. But he wanted to because he was his friend. So I really liked showing the depth of Baji's character development, and also the depth of Sonny being like, listen, I don't want to drag people into something that's just mine. Because usually he would do that, he would coerce people into this, but here he's like, listen, I just want to help my son and make sure he lives in a good world. The other one that led to some cool kind of stuff was getting more flashbacks for the widow and her relationship with Gaius. That was a pretty cool thing, because Gaius, of course, is the son of a baron, but he wasn't as violently inclined. We saw that with Chow making threats on the Cogs and the people that were helping him help the Cogs for him to go on the assassination mission to kill the Pilgrim. Because the widow got back to her place and they hear this noise in their car and see that it's Gaius. This, of course, intersperses the background where Minerva, the widow, was a serving girl and accidentally dropped something, and the father and it was Gaius' birthday. He demanded that Gaius give her 10 lashes. But, of course, Juliet, his sister, decided to do it instead because he refused to do it and just kept smacking her even beyond the 10 lashes. Just going to show Chow's acceptance of the violence way of the Badlands. So this, of course, leads the widow to being leery of Gaius, even though he's offering to help take down Chow, and, of course, kind of help her out and request to take over the Badlands, because she was also thrown into the pigsty, and he pretty much is able to put into effect that I helped you get out of there too, with the dagger and everything that had no mercy on it. And the widow still carries that dagger around, as we see, because she also got into touch with Nathaniel, who actually has the sword, and he shows it prominently, and just tells the widow that Sonny won't be a problem. And I liked that even though Nathaniel is very much in control of himself and a very strong character, he still kind of goes along with the widow, but pretty much says, listen, I made the right call. He was not going to be a problem anymore. Be done with it. And she's like, well, if he comes back, I'm going to take both of your heads. And I'm going, widow, you're good, but you had to fight him to a stalemate. If he puts his mind to it, he's going to pretty much take you out. And if you're going after Sonny as well, who he's already had his honor satisfied with, and trying to take a father from their son, I think he's going to fight even harder on that count. So she's going to have to watch out. So she does trust Gaius and takes him out of his cell. This is kind of where it intersects with Pilgrims and MK's storyline. Now, granted, not completely directly, but there are decisions that are made there that affect it going on later. So MK wakes up, pretty much gets the spiel from Pilgrim. He is getting ready to use his gift, uses it, but of course Pilgrim warps him out of it and goes, hey, you're bleeding, you kind of need like food and wine to kind of get yourself out of here. That, of course, was Cressida setting that up, but he's pretty much lays out what he wants. I like the nuance with Pilgrim. He doesn't want violent means to take over and be a real bad guy, but yet he does implement these violent tactics when push comes to shove. It's a really kind of cool method that's going on. So he pretty much gives his spiel to MK. MK accepts his offer because he is wounded, and Pilgrim isn't really forcing him. He's saying, listen, you have the choice to stay or go, and he's saying that he needs to go after him, find someone. This then leads MK to having a little bit more time with Nyx, showing him the view player and all that kind of thing, but the main focus of this one scene was Castor coming in and being freaked out that he's being replaced, even implying that Nyx wants MK in her bed, as he then runs off. This leads to later discussion between Pilgrim and Cressida that she wants to use Castor in a last-ditch effort because he's dying. Pilgrim vehemently opposes that. He does not want to, he wants to help his people. That, I think, is a really great strength and gives him more in common with the Widow than with Chow, because he went to Chow in the beginning of the episode, laid out these heads and said, you know what, I'm going to need 1,000 workers from you. Oh, okay. This, of course, sets in motion Chow trying to figure out how to get more workers and figuring out about the refugee camp and deciding to send her soldiers there. That's where these lines start to intersect, because around that time, the Widow hears word of this and decides to use Gaius and the rest of her people to try and save the refugees. Where it really gets even more effect with Pilgrim, because at this point you think there's no real direct connection that could be made between Chow's forces and Pilgrim's forces doing this. Cressida gets Castor to pretty much do a last hurrah, joins up with the Chow's forces on the way to the refugee camp, and is in the process of taking these people out. It's really kind of weird, because I thought that the whole objective of taking the refugee camp was to get the people as workers, because she needed like 1,000 workers to appease Pilgrim, and they're like killing people. But what really helped out in the fact is that Tilda and Odessa are the ones that are in charge of the refugee camp, and Odessa has some pretty cool moves. This is the only action scene that we really get in the episode, and there's a really good fight scene because Castor's using a bike, but then she uses a whip to take him off and just like using it really awesomely. And he, of course, gets into his gift, but he uses it off and on and kind of switches in and out. And it gets into a point where Tilda's kind of on the back foot, but that's when the Widow's forces come in and we start getting even better kind of fight scenes, because we see, I believe, the region of Chow fighting Gaius, and Gaius kind of gets screwed up, but then Moon comes in to save the day, and Odessa does, and that dude just ran tail. I'm like, listen, Odessa is a force to be reckoned with, but putting up against Gaius and Nathaniel Moon, you have every right to run. So the main fight towards the end is Widow and Castor, and they're fighting, and she's able to take him down and figure out what's going on, because this is an attack on her. It makes no sense to her why he would be used like this. So Pilgrim's going to be pissed off. We even saw that in the preview. So the last big piece of information that we get is that the Pilgrim is doing some kind of project. And he takes MK out to it to kind of show it to him to get him more information on what's going on with it. And evidently, it's like there's these sacred places in the old world that the faithful were able to master their power and transform like their very existence. So that's probably definitely got something to do with the dark gift and why he needs Sunny as the catalyst. And he was just showing this to get more trust with MK and prove him more on his side. So it was actually a really good tactic for the Pilgrim. But I don't believe the Pilgrim is one that really doesn't want to manipulate that much unless he's pushed into it, like when he had the dissenters. So that entered into a new kind of thing that I think is definitely going to tie in with Sunny. And it's even brought more in towards the end of the episode where we see Cressida drawing all these kinds of mark lines, but we know that they're marks for the Clippers. Of course, MK and Pilgrim show up, and MK talks about them, and that they're the marks on the backs of Clippers, and they represent a kill. And Cressida's like, well, this is the catalyst. He's on his way here to us. And Pilgrim's like, no matter what, even if he comes as an enemy or a friend, I shall welcome him as a brother. And MK's like, hold up a minute, this is the dude I'm going to kill because he killed my mother. And, of course, Pilgrim was showing that he understood the need and want for revenge for that kind of thing. But he goes, no. He's off limits. His destiny is intertwined with mine, and we will welcome him like a brother. So, I'm wondering, we do know that the Pilgrim has his own kind of aims, but I wonder if he'll become an ally to Sunny or not, and if they will have to team up to stop Cressedia or other people, and how this is all going to work out, because I love that it's not exactly clear cut, and that we're getting more plot and advancement throughout this episode. Even though it comes at the expense of the action, that just leads to us having cool action scenes further on, because they do a good job of balancing that out throughout the seasons that I've noticed. So I'm really looking forward to see how that's going to work out, how MK is going to feel, and I hope that when he actually comes face to face with Sunny again, he understands that his tactic would be like, oh, this cycle of violence will close when I take Sunny's life. You sure about that? Because Sunny took your mother's life, and you just want to repay that vengeance. What are you plan on killing Henry as well? Because that's the only way to stop Henry from eventually growing up and coming and killing you. And he's got the dark gift as well. So I hope that that kind of thinking eventually gets to MK, but we'll have to see where these stories go. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.